Thank you so much, John, Columbia's really extraordinary provost, for joining us here today, and for the really fantastic commitment that you and President Bollinger, CEPA's Dean Merritt Janow, and the rest of the university's leadership have given to all of us as we've built this new Energy Policy Research Institute. John was the dean of CEPA when I joined the faculty. He was the one who recruited me, in fact, and so I quite literally would not be here today were it not for him. So I just want to thank you for your vision and your leadership in what this center was able to become and is going to become. Many of you joined us in this room just over a year ago today to help us celebrate the launch of the Center on Global Energy Policy, and I'm really excited to see so many friends back with us today to celebrate our first anniversary and to hear from the really fantastic, distinguished lineup of guest speakers that we have for the afternoon. I'm really very proud of what the Center's been able to achieve in its first year, and let me just quickly recap a few of the highlights. We've become the leading venue in New York for discussions of energy policy issues, holding nearly 50 public events about current energy issues with leaders like the U.S. Energy Secretary, the National Security Advisor, Mayor Bloomberg, and many, many others. We've convened nearly 20 off-the-record roundtables, bringing senior leaders together with energy policy officials and others. Tomorrow, for example, we'll hold a CEO-level roundtable to discuss New York area fuel system resilience in the wake of Hurricane Sandy, which is particularly timely after the federal government just last week announced the new creation of an emergency gasoline reserve to be built partially in New York. And this fulfills part of a request made of the center by the city in its report, A Stronger, More Resilient New York. We've held events like that really around the world in key energy capitals like Beijing and Istanbul and London. In just a few weeks, in fact, we will be convening ministers and other senior leaders like Daniel Yergin, who's here today, to discuss energy access issues and the regional use of East Africa's natural gas resources during the U.S.-Africa Energy Ministerial meeting in Ethiopia. As part of our mission to help train tomorrow's leaders, we've created new programs for students interested in energy. One example is the recently created Women in Energy program that we started that currently brings about 200 students together with female leaders and mentors in the energy sector. We've initiated research projects on a host of timely issues like U.S. energy export policy, global gas trade and pricing, solar deployment and shale gas development in China, Mexican energy reform, among several others. We've created a fellows program that allows senior leaders from the energy sector, from industry or government or elsewhere, to come and spend time researching, writing, teaching, lecturing, interacting with students. I want to acknowledge and thank David Sandalow, the inaugural fellow at the Center on Global Energy Policy, who had formerly been one of the top officials at the U.S. Energy Department during President Obama's first term, for his partnership in helping to build the center and for the role he's playing this afternoon in helping to moderate today's events. And we have several non-resident fellows that also spend time during the course of the year here at the center. Many of you have interacted with them, most recently, for example, Adrian Lejeune, the former CEO of Pemex, who was here a few weeks ago discussing Mexican energy reform, teaching students and working with students on that topic. Today, we announced 2 additional non-resident fellows who will be working with the center over the course of the next year. Bob McNally, who was a former top White House energy advisor at the National Security Council and the National Economic Council in the administration of George W. Bush, and I see Bob in the back there, and Bob Holman, a leading environmental lawyer and formerly Governor Cuomo's top energy and environment advisor, who has been playing a key role in putting a lot of the work together, like what we're doing tomorrow on fuel system resilience and New York area fuel issues. We are going to continue to build on this momentum to expand our research and programs to fulfill our mission to improve the quality of energy policy and the quality of energy dialogue through objective, balanced, rigorous analysis and policy-relevant analysis about the rapidly changing energy landscape, both in the U.S. and around the world. I want to thank just a couple of people for helping to make today possible: Jesse McCormick, Carl Way, Terry Culver, Matt Robinson, and so many other staff and students at Columbia who helped put today's event together. I want to say a word of thanks to Dan Jurgen for his participation in several of our conversations this afternoon, and more importantly, for so generously giving his time to help build this new center. Dan's been a mentor for many years, for which I'm really very grateful, and I'm grateful for his deep commitment to this center's success. Finally, I want to thank all of our speakers. Particular thanks to Counselor to the President John Podesta, who, as you heard, will be here in a few moments. And those of you who are very observant or have a particular affinity for thick Boston accents will notice that he is not Gina McCarthy, the administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency, despite the pictures of her that are plastered in posters all over campus. Gina was called away on official foreign travel for the administration at the last minute, but really am thrilled, we're very lucky and honored that John Podesta, Counselor to the President, has agreed to speak to us today about the administration's energy and climate agenda, which has been very much in the news this week. Before I introduce our first keynote speaker, let me quickly mention a few housekeeping items. First, please turn off or silence your cell phones. We will have time for Q&A over the course of the day. If you'd like to ask a question, please write it on one of the index cards that you'll find on your chair and hand it to one of the ushers that'll be walking around collecting questions, and we'll have our moderators pose those questions to our speakers. For those of you watching online, you can participate as well. Just tweet your questions to our handle at Columbia U Energy and use the hashtag CGEP events.